John Reynolds, three-time British Superbike champion here at the NEC. What's your role with Suzuki these days, if at all?
Oh no, I've been working for Suzuki ever since I retired really, and a brand ambassador is where I'm at the moment. Also a test rider. I've been heavily involved in the new GSXR 1000 over the last couple of years, and carry on doing what I'm doing.
It's been an illustrious racing career for you, but what are the highlights? You was in World Superbikes for a little while before coming back to Britain.
Yeah, I did Grand Prix to start with, and then World Superbike, and then back to British, as you say. I mean, every year was a highlight, really, to be fair. I enjoyed most of it, but I mean, winning British Superbike championships obviously is a big part of that, and winning a World Superbike race, I suppose. We had many happy times.
Who would you say your most formidable teammate was throughout your career?
Formidable? I think they all were, to be fair, but...
Did one stand out?
Yeah, a couple did, yeah. Sean Emmett was one, because he won't mind me saying this, but I actually hated him before he came into the team. And Ben Atkins told me when I was riding for Red Bull, he said, Sean Emmett is going to be a teammate next year. I said, Ben, I can't work with Sean. He said, we're going to have to, because he is, that's it. But you know what? After riding with him and working with him for a couple of months, he became my best mate, and that was good. The other, I think the one I struggled the hardest with was James Haydon. And that wasn't because I didn't like him, it was just that he didn't like me, which was a bit of a shame. But anyway, we're best of mates now, so that's fine.
What about against championship rivals? You've obviously raced Neil Mackenzie, Chris Walker, Steve Hislop in 2001, the famous showdown at Rockingham.
Yeah, Neil Hodgson and all the rest of them. Yeah, I mean, every weekend there was somebody to beat, wasn't there? But yeah, and Neil Mackenzie was one of the toughest lads you'd ever come across. Chris Walker also, Hodgson, you know. Steve Hislop on his day was the fastest rider in the world. In fact, I do remember one day at Donington Park, he qualified faster than Rossi qualified for the Grand Prix, and you know, that unbelievable.
I think that was 2000 on the Virgin Yamaha.
Yeah, I'll take your word for that. All I know is he did it, and I was blown away by it.
What do you make of the current British Superbike Championships? A lot different since when you was here, when we've got 3 races at some weekends, and the qualifying format's changed, and the race grid, race 2 has changed. How do you make of all them changes?
Oh, it's a spectacle. I mean, I really enjoy watching it at home on television. I've not been to many races this year. I'm not such a massive fan of the showdown, but you know, that's just the way it is. You know, I'm a big believer that if you're going to be a British champion, you've got to be doing it week in, week out, you know, wet or dry, not just the last 3 rounds. But it seems to work, and I recognise the reason why they did it was so that they weren't going to get a winner, you know, early on in the year. But no, I mean, it's a spectacle. I mean, how many race winners this year? 9 or 10 race winners?
10 winners for the first time since '98, and you was one of them back then.
Oh right, yeah. So no, it was pretty special. Yeah, it's good.
Would you say that British Superbikes are more competitive nowadays than compared to when you was riding, or not so?
I think the depth of field now, I think because the bikes are so much closer, you know, everybody can afford a top-class bike. And, yeah, I mean, you just have to look at the results. You know, one guy can win it one week and then be struggling to be in the top 15, you know, the week after. And it's very competitive now. But, I mean, it always has been to win races, but I think to finish in the top 10 now, you've really got to be on your game.
What do you make of all the World Superbike changes, the reverse grids being one of them, and the split races, one on Saturday, one on Sunday? What's your take on all that?
Again, not a big fan. You know, as a spectator, you'd like to see 2 races in one day, rather than have to keep going back. The split grid, it makes it exciting for the spectator, but I think it'd be a nightmare for the rider. You know, you've got to, if you win the first race and then you're in 10th or 9th place for the second, it means you've got to take risks, really, to pass people. And which, you know, is part of the game, of course, but I think it's, well, yeah, I wouldn't like, I'll do it, for sure, but I don't think it's a great thing to do.
Can World Superbikes get back to how it was when you won your race in 2000?
What, for grid, for spectators, you mean?
Spectators, entertainment value, close racing?
You know, I don't really know what's wrong with World Superbike. I mean, we've got British champions, world champions and British world champions, and I don't know why, you know, we don't all get behind it, because, you know, we're watching world-class riders win world championships in the British. I've just got I don't know, I really can't put my finger on it, but maybe it's because the British riders are making it look too easy. You know, they're winning week in, week out, and the Americans aren't there, and there's not. I don't know. Depth of field, I think, is not there. But that's hard. That's easy for me to say.
Back to your career. What was the hardest point in your career?
I suppose coming back from injury really was hard parts. You know, I broke my calcaneum bone, which is a heel bone, quite badly, and just getting back to fitness from that really, and getting back to going fast again, because you can ride a bike injured, but you're not necessarily riding a bike fast. And I do remember actually getting slightly more back on the pace and getting with the top lads in the first couple of corners, and realising how far you've got to lean the bike over to keep up with them again. And that's really hard. But if you love the sport, you're going to be prepared to dig in and do that.
Was it hard to walk away in 2005?
No, not really, because I got carried away. I had a massive crash, and it pretty well finished me off, really. But yeah, I've got to say, when I was being in recovery, actually Paul Denning came over to me. I was riding the Suzuki at the time, and he was my team manager, and he said, let's talk about next year. This is when I was in the hospital. And I said, Paul, I finished, that's it, that's me done. He said, no, have a think about it, and we'll talk about it in a couple of weeks' time. I said, no, I can tell you now, Paul, that's it, I've finished. But then when I realised that Shaky Byrne was going to be riding my bike the year after, you know what, it was just like seeing somebody with your ex-girlfriend. Yeah. It really was, I felt gutted. But, anyway, there we go.
And finally, your top 6 prediction for British Superbikes next season. Who's going to get in that showdown?
Top 6, right. I think Bradley Ray's going to be there. Richard Cooper. That's the 2 Suzukis out of the way, isn't it? Jake Dixon, Shaky Byrne. Who else would be there, do you think? Can't think of anyone else.
Leon Haslam, Josh Brooks, James Ellison, Luke Mossey, Peter Hickman again?
Yeah. No, Leon Haslam definitely. And Jake Dixon, I think, yeah.
Take that from you. John, thanks for joining us on Motorsport Radio.
Thank you very much. Cheers.